Introducing everybody, you're meeting your cast. David Del Rio, Billy. Looking very handsome tonight. Leah Lewis playing Sarah. The best mustache in Hollywood, Jason Ritter playing Julian. Yes! He's so handsome. Very handsome. Skye P. Marshall, our Olympia. Get it, get it, get it, get it, get it. You guys, Kathy Bates. I have goosebumps. Kat Coiro, our director and executive producer, directed this episode. And the person that started it all, Jennie Snyder Urman, our showrunner, our executive producer. How many of you saw that coming? Nobody. God almighty. So, can you talk about the genesis of this for you, for Matlock? Like, where did this all come from? I'm imagining the studio, David's staff calls and says, we want to make Matlock.
I called the studio and I said, oh, do you have the rights to Matlock, but not for me, for someone else? And they said, Eric Christian Olsen has the rights. And so you have to call him and ask him. And I called him and he said, you can join in if you want to write it. And I said, that's not my plan. My plan was to give it to someone else. And he said no. And then I took a walk and I sort of thought about it and I came back and I pitched Eric a journey. He's looking at me as though he's shocked. Right. But this is like our shared history.
I don't remember saying no.
Well, I mean, it was messaged back to me.
I was just like, we want you because you're the genius.
No, it was you made it clear that I could join if I would write it. And I'm so glad I did.
Oh my God, yes.
No shit.
You're coming off unbelievable success with Jane the Virgin. Again, a critical darling. Yes. A very different show. Why did you want to tackle this IP?
At first I didn't. And then, you know, when I took this walk and was thinking about Matlock, I thought about it similarly to how I thought about Jane, which is if you're taking an existing IP, you want to be able to do something completely different with it, and yet pay homage to the original in some way. And so that was sort of what I was taking with me on my walk, and I was thinking about who Matlock would be in my world, and it would of course be an older woman, and then I was thinking about that, and who that woman would be in the world, and then suddenly sort of the pieces clicked where I thought if she could be using the title of Matlock in the same way as I'm using the title of Matlock, which is to like lull everyone into something that's familiar and make people smile, but then put something else in there, that would be an interesting character journey and structural journey, and that was the marriage that became Matlock.
And why did you choose the opiate epidemic and pharmaceuticals for the serialized elements?
You know, it had been in my head and my heart for a while, just knowing people who have gone through that, and also just thinking about, you know, we know that the companies got in trouble, but there were so many like little parts where I was thinking like, well, what happened to this person's involvement and this person's, because collectively, everybody had to kind of close their eyes, and now we're sort of left with the trauma of what is underneath it. And I knew I wanted something big and thick and heavy underneath it, and that Maddie would be wondering what her profession's responsibility was in litigating all of that. And you know, what if you're just constantly drawing something out because your clients want you to, and you know, you're getting paid and you've got a lot of lawfare going on and documents, but people are dying, like where's the responsibility to stop and say like, this is a crisis and these people are doing something wrong. And so that was an interesting question that was in my heart at the beginning.
Do you want to tease the last 3 episodes?
Ooh. I am really excited for the last 3 episodes. I think they are, yes. I really think they're some of the strongest that we've done. I think they have drama, suspense, comedy, emotion, and I really think what's satisfying is that we're going to give you the answer that you were promised at the beginning of the season, and then it launches us into the 2nd season, and I think it's got a satisfying ending, but a lot of compulsion.
So you're saying April 17th, we will know and discover who hid documents.
We will, and it's a 2-hour episode because there was so much. Yeah, I really am proud of the episode and think just this team is incredible, and Kat directed it so beautifully, and I really can't wait to put it out in the world.
It's so good. Do you want to talk about, in this writing process, when did Kathy become part of the conversation?
Well, when I pitched it, I said, imagine Kathy Bates, and you always just sort of say that as to put something big in their heads that makes them think, oh, wow, if we do this show, we could be working with Kathy Bates. But it never works out that way. You just sort of say that in pitches. And I'm still shocked that Kathy read it and liked it and is here today.
In fairness to there's so many arguments in casting. And this is one of the few times when Jennie and the creative team and the studio and the network, Amy, George Cheeks, everybody read it and they said, it's Kathy. It was just always Kathy. And the fact that you're here with us and we're watching this is just, it gives me goosebumps. It's remarkable. It brings me so much joy. All right, I got choked up. So Kat, you directed half of these episodes, which is insane, including the 2-part finale. You're coming off of big features. You're doing Spiderwick Chronicles. You're doing She-Hulk. Hey. What made you put your hand up for Matlock?
Well, it's funny. I had met Kathy before for a feature project, and I remember leaving the meeting and thinking, is it weird that I feel like Kathy is my soulmate? I think I actually said that, so sorry, Kathy. I just felt like she was this incredibly powerful artist and person, and I loved her so much. And so then Matlock came across my desk, and I heard Kathy was attached. And before I read the script, I remember I texted you, and I said, I hear you're doing Matlock. How's the script? And she wrote back, I wouldn't change a damn word. And I read it, and I agreed, and it felt like one of those magical moments where it was just meant to be. And it's been just a dream.
And boundless energy, from the first Zoom where we all met you to the days when you're shooting 16 hours and it's late at night. You bring so much energy and intelligence and joy to the set. We're so lucky to have you too.
Well, it's such a collaboration, and that energy comes from the energy of everybody here. And this set in particular is one where I think everybody inspires everybody else to bring their best. And you never don't want to come in fully prepared and fully ready and in a good mood, because that's what everybody brings up here. So it's easy.
Well, it's not easy.
Can I add something about Kat, though?
Yeah.
We had a very long day, and we were in the documents, the file cabinet room, and I was sitting back in the back. It was like, oh, God, how much longer is this going to go on? And then I hear Kat, and I don't know what time in the morning it is. She says, oh, that's great, woohoo! And it was like something she loved on the set, and I was like, holy crap, this woman has got so much energy, I can't believe it. But it's inspiring, when you think your leader is like, woohoo, So anyway.
She's on her 7th black tea of the day.
I gave it up.
Kathy, I try to imagine this phone call in my head with, I'm sure your agent's here. Brian Mann calls you and says, hey, they're reimagining Matlock. And what's the first thing that comes to your mind when he says this, before you've read the script?
Well, I don't know. It wasn't hearing the word Matlock. It was, he said he did say Matlock, but he said, I'm going to send you the script. It was a Friday afternoon. And he said, you need to read it today. You have to give him an answer by Monday. And if you don't, then they're not going to do it. No pressure.
Wait, what?
I don't know if that's accurate, or it was
That's
that
good
agent.
agenting.
Maybe that's agent talk. He's here, so I can't say anything bad. So, no pressure. So I started to read it, and at first I thought, oh, it's, as you guys have seen the pilot, I said it's procedural, it's all of that, and I had done Harry's Law, and I didn't know whether I wanted to do another show like that, and then. He said, well, let us send you the script. And I'm so busted. I had told him, I said, let me back up a minute. I told him, I said, guys, I want to take a break. I don't know if I'm going to go on hiatus, whatever it is. And they said, well, we've got this script. We want to send it to you, just what I said. And then I kept looking at my watch going, okay, where's that effing script? I want that script now. So I thought, oh, you're so busted. You want to work. So you had a leg up to begin with. But then I read it and I thought, oh, it's procedural. I don't know. And then I just kept reading. And then the end came and I was like, holy fuck, I really want to do this. It's like Maddie says to Edwin about Bitsy when, she says, he says, oh, your Bitsy is your persona. And she says, yes, but Matlock has substance, And so that's what I always felt was about the show, is that she has substance. So that made me say yes.
The holy fuck was so good right there. That will make it to the Twitter. Or it's not Twitter anymore, is it? It's the thread. This is a question from my mom and from Elaine, who's here, Andrea's mom, which is one of the most popular themes of the show, is about older women feeling overlooked and underestimated. And just wanted to kind of, yeah, you can clap for that.
Yes.
Jennie and Kathy, just to address why is that such a big part of this show, and how does it feel to carry that?
I feel that, yes, I feel that very strongly. I guess I've said this before in press, but I think a lot about my mom when I'm preparing for this character, and I feel like she was one of the invisible ones, and she was so smart. She should have been a lawyer. She wanted to be a lawyer, and she didn't have the opportunity. She was born in 1907, so things were very, very different for women then. So yes, I think she was invisible, and it's always broken my heart. And my niece Linda's here, who loved her deeply and was loved deeply by her, and knows how much that she could have contributed to the world. So I think about her a lot.
Well, she did contribute to the world.
Skye, do you want to talk about how you manifested this role? You put it on a dream board and made the whole thing happen.
Come on.
Tell me why I'm here.
Unbelievable.
Get it, kid.
You got this, babe. You got it.
You can stand if you want to answer it and stand. This is one of my favorite stories, by the way.
So, the PaleyFest used to be in Beverly Hills. And there's two women here who can contest, my manager, Melanie Green, and one of my best friends, Josette Eels. I catered 3 of those in my mid-30s. And when you guys were done eating and drinking, I would hide in the back and watch. And I said one day, I will be on that stage, and this is that one day. And I am tired. Hey! But yes, the lights feel as good as I thought they would. This is my Cinderella moment, but the heel is not coming off. I've worked really hard for this. I served active duty in the Air Force to pay for college, and then after college, after college, I graduated with honors so I can work at a firm in New York City, and I worked at a pharmaceutical marketing firm.
We'll cut that. We can cut that in post.
And that's what I realized after 2 years of that cubicle, that was my idea of hell. And it was vivid. I was on a sterile conference call. It was my innie. And I had zoned out, and I had imagined, like Ally McBeal, like a 12-year-old version of me sitting on my desk, kicking my file cabinet, very upset at me. Like, this is not what you promised me. And I sat there, and I just remember like daydreaming, like, you are absolutely right. And from that moment on, I was dedicated to figuring out. Viola Davis has a quote: the two most important days in your life, the day you were born, and the day you figure out why you were born. That was that day. And I did not pursue acting until I was right before my 28th birthday. And I came out here and I just hit the ground running, and I never stopped until I made it to a chemistry audition with Kathy Bates. And I was like, oh my God, how did I pull this off? And as soon as I walked in the audition and I saw Kathy, I said, can I hug you? And she walked right into my arms. And in that moment, it just humanized her for me, to where I was just like, I need her just as much as she needs me, and we're about to play jazz. And that's exactly what she and I did, and I was told by Kathy when I left that she turned around and was like, it's her, right? Meanwhile, I looked at the sign-in sheet. I knew all the women that were going up for Olympia. I was the underdog. But I believe, which I never even asked you, but I believe that what makes Kathy such a beautiful individual, and the creative team, is that she was given that opportunity for misery.
I was an underdog.
She was the underdog, right? While the big names were in the mix. But we have such a phenomenal creative team that focuses on the craft. They focus on the talent and the work, not your IG followers and your resume, but the chemistry and the talent. And that's what happened with putting together this incredible cast and the directors. And I mean, I pinch myself every day. I can keep talking, but this is unreal.
Real quickly, can you answer like theoretical expectations of this moment versus the reality of this moment? Can you make that jump for me quickly, succinctly? Like you're having that moment, this moment. Like how does that feel you've been planning your whole life for it? Like
it feels powerful. Yeah. And as a underestimated older woman or Black woman,
oh.
I don't subscribe to the industry's not back yet, or there's no roles for you, or you need this and you need this and you need that. I don't subscribe to that. It is me, my creator, and the goal. Period. But I can't. I'm sorry. It's not going to hit me until the night that you won your Critics' Choice Award for Matlock. It wasn't until like she woke up the next morning that she was like, "What just happened?" I think that this is my award.
I'll check in tomorrow. I'll ask you the same question tomorrow. I'll FaceTime you at 6 a.m. Jason, walk us through. Yes. Woo! That was my wife that just hooted. No one was more excited about Jason being cast than my wife. She's the hugest Jason Ritter fan. I hear about it all day. It's super cool. Can you talk to me about playing Julian and that amazing dynamic you have with your dad on the show, Beau Bridges?
Yeah, I mean, it's a dream come true. I mean, listen to these inspiring people that came before me, and there's 2 more coming after me. It's wonderful, and Bo is so lovely, and there's this strange thing when Bo was cast. Throughout my entire childhood and my life, my dad and Bo would get mistaken for each other all the time, and there is a bit of a physical similarity. In fact, my dad one time got a fan letter from someone who had listed all of these things that he had done and the performances that they loved, and said, "Could you please sign the enclosed picture?" And it was Bo Bridges on the beach.
Just relaxed, kicking back in his chair.
Yeah, you can find it online. You'll see they do look quite alike. So I already had this weird feeling of connection to him, even having not. And I had done also strangely, I had done a play reading with him where I played a character that he had originated when he did the play originally in the 70s. And so I had met him at that time, and it was lovely to sort of get to step in. That's the hardest part for me always, is creating decades of history with someone. So it's helpful when there's some of that is already laid in there.
And you've got
or we just discover it as we go, like Skye and I.
We're supposed to unpack your social media.
Oh no. No one sees that. That's just me. That's
Cue the music.
Yeah, part of me really wants us to hum the theme song and you to do an interpretive dance. Do you feel like that's something you want to wait on, or we'll wait on that?
It feels like it's just like that Weekend at Bernie's 2 spell where it comes on and I just have to oh no, I can't stop.
It is fascinating and I can't turn it off. Once I hit play, and the entrance to what show was it that went viral? You guys did an entrance that was so good.
Oh, for the Jennifer Hudson show.
Do we have that? Can we play that clip?
Yeah.
Renee said no.
Oh. You tricked me.
Leah, I think this is the first time I've seen on broadcast TV a polyamory and ethical non-monogamy storyline. Is that true? Let's just say it's true. Talk about the responsibility of playing that on TV, and as you get these pages, and how you feel about it and what's driving that character.
So playing Sarah, I mean, obviously at the beginning of this whole series, you see that she's very uninterested in anything other than work and pretty much Olympia. So much so you would think that she wants to marry Olympia because how obsessed she is with the way that Olympia carries herself. I mean, everything that Olympia has is what Sarah would strive to be. And slowly over the course of this season, through the help of people like Billy and Maddie, opening her up and helping her realize that there is so much more to life than just the goals and the ambitions. And none of it really means that much if you don't have anyone to share it with. She now starts to dive into this world of romance. It's weird seeing this character finally at the age of 27 learning how to be a human from people that she, didn't really enjoy being human with when they all kind of, when Maddie first came into the firm. But it's funny because I don't think Sarah is really, I think it's amazing to see her open up and be open to so many things when it comes to Kira, but as you can clearly see, I don't think Sarah can really deal with an ethical, non-monogamous open relationship. It's her first one,
You're so thoughtful and you're so balanced. What advice would you have for Sarah as she's navigating love, life, business, all of it?
Wow, it's so funny because there are a lot of times when I step into Sarah and I have to give myself permission to be very bold and blunt to Kathy or to David and not feel bad about it. And it's funny because I've had to learn over the last year to really root for a character like her and have so much compassion. And through learning to love her so, so, so deeply, I think the advice I would give to her is just slow down and don't miss any of this. I look at her journey, and there's so many times where I want to give my own character so much advice, but, for Sarah, she's enough as she is. She spends so much of this season trying to kind of peacock out and make herself noticed when, she's perfect as she is. And I think Maddie is one of the biggest people, and Billy as well, to really see that before she's able to see that. I'm really excited for y'all to see the finale because she's definitely something different in the last couple episodes.
So good. in the finale.
So good.
Do you want to talk about David hooking up with her arch nemesis?
Billy.
That's all I want to talk about.
They demanded the question. They said, what is it like to hook up with the arch nemesis, Andrea? And how is that going to complicate your relationship with Sarah? Sometimes I have to say what's written.
No, you want your character's circumstances to be delicious and to kind of like really step in and kind of get messy, and Billy is the type of character who is loyal first and foremost to his team. And so what Jennie and the writers got to provide the characters, well, you're not going to be. And so what does that do with Billy? He starts this season being aspirational, and now in the latter part of the season, he's growing ambition. He's trying to learn of how to get to the top in a way that's kind of against his heart, really. Is he a lawyer that's going to go after justice, or is he going to be a lawyer that goes after convictions? And, to have that sort of balance of who Billy is, especially being turned down, after proposing to his girlfriend of 8 years. I mean, who is he? He's lost at sea. And to kind of, when I got the script, I was like, oh my gosh, like, he is just in a mess. And that's what you want as an actor, you know? And so it's been really, really fun exploring that. And, you don't want to piss Sarah off. and so that's a really great thing to kind of work where he's kind of like hiding and trying to not be caught and all that stuff because, he really loves Sarah and he doesn't want to hurt her. But he is deciding, well, it's now time to make my own path. And it's a delicious circumstance to play.
We have a lot of fans. That was a good answer. You can clap for that.
Thank you. Thank you.
He just walks off stage. We have a lot of fans from Pitch Perfect.
Yep. Oh, you've seen it.
Cheryl. Are we going to discover some hidden musical talents for our boy Billy here? Do we see any possibilities with that?
It's funny. I remember 2 people in the writing staff came up to me and they was like, you were in Pitch Perfect? And I was like, well, if you didn't blink, yes, I am in Pitch Perfect. And then all of a sudden, 2 episodes later, we're seeing an a cappella group in the Christmas episode. And so I was just like, I wonder if there's like something connected there. But listen, all the song and dance is happening when we're not shooting. Like when the cameras are off, that's when it's really happening. I don't know if you've seen our social media, but we're dancing and fooling around constantly on set because, we're a pretty, I've said this before, but we're a pretty grateful group, especially to be working today, especially in the state of the industry where it's at. The fact that not only we're in a show, but a network show that has been supporting us from the jump. I think it's sort of kind of like giving back to the amazing crew that was making us look so good. It's like what Diane Wiest would say. When she's not on Broadway, there is no difference when she's shooting film. She's actually performing for the crew. The crew is her audience. And I feel like we would act ridiculous around the crew, but because it gives us energy when they're laughing and vibing with us, And so I think we've set up a really nice and ballistic environment.
And we shoot in LA. With the LA crews, and that's like so rare and so special. And I think we all know how special it is.
That's a huge deal. The best crew. Do you want to start with David and go backwards? Your favorite moment from this season thus far?
Sure. There was a scene where, I think it was episode 3, where Billy expresses to Maddie how embarrassed he is that he only went to a community college instead of an Ivy League. Yep. And that actually ran deep for me because a lot of these colleges, and these community colleges as well, they're like 3 years, right? And so there's a line there where Sarah says, you can't have all this balance a year after law school. And so then I kind of worked my way back of when he actually graduated or when he attended. So the show came out 2024, I say 2020 to 2023, he started in community college. That was COVID. He's never even stepped into a classroom. In fact, he learned a lot of his, law knowledge and his love for law in his room, where he's living with his sisters and his mom and all that stuff. And that really takes a weight beyond the idea of, oh, I only went to community college. He didn't even go. And that was where I started to work from. So we're on set, it's Kathy and I, and Kathy sees me in the corner doing some bullshit exercise. And I'm looking down and I'm getting into my character and I'm thinking about all these things and I hear, hey kid. And there's Kathy and she says, I'm right here. I've got everything you need.
Aww.
And she really meant her eyes, right? And so then Kathy and I stood there for what felt like 15 minutes. But it was like 3 minutes of a staring exercise of her and I. And there was so much being said without a word between her and I, beyond character, and even beyond actors, really. And she allowed me the space to be curious about her, and for her to be curious about me, and she didn't break focus with me. And that was one of the things I'll carry with me for the rest of my life.
Wow. No pressure, Leah, you're next.
God, I'm so emotional. I just
I
I
got
love
tears in
sitting
my
up
eyes.
here and listening to everyone's stories. For me, one of the moments that are minor in the finale, so I can't really tell y'all what it is, but I'll tell you the essence of why it's one of my favorite moments, because it's mirrored between all of the actors. It wasn't just a Billy and Sarah moment. Every time I'm acting with David, with Jason, with Kathy, and with Skye, in any moment that is very deep and very intimate, those are my favorite moments because of the relationships that I get to create with you guys off screen. Even though Sarah is not as close to you guys, sometimes when we're in the material, I, as Leah, get to walk on set, and in those scenes where we're really diving into the grit of it all, I can just take one look into any of y'all's eyes, and it's like we're locked in, we're tapped in. I think there was one scene that really speaks to me when Sarah's character is just completely coming undone in front of Olympia. And I remember that day, I was really trying to stay in that headspace. And I think just being with Skye in general and everything we've been through in this last year, like it put me in that place. Or hell, Kathy, even when I look in your eyes, it's really hard not to cry, even though it's like a sunny day on Saturday. It's just like, I feel so deeply for my actors, and I feel so deeply for how hard they work and what they put into these characters. So I know that's cheesy, but all of it is my favorite.
Oh gosh, it was a season filled with so many wonderful moments, and it's hard to pick just one. I think this kind of thing happens all the time. Skye saves me in little ways all the time. I think there was sort of a magical, kind of a moment that wasn't really one moment, but all of a sudden it felt like the cast just sort of coalesced into this thing where we all were part of this world, and I mean, I think actually if I had to pick one moment, I think there was a moment early on where we got to sit down. We were in a room in an office in Toronto doing the pilot, and I started to hear some of your story, and I was just bowled over by this person and who you are, and then getting to watch you, getting to see like how incredibly talented you are, and that how you got here is so incredible. And anyway, I knew when I was coming into it, I knew how excited I was to work with Kathy, And then just to see that every single person on this stage is so talented and so lovely and so present and so real. And I'm nervous when they figure me out.
That was not on the vision board. That was not on the vision board.
Towels, anybody? Towels.
Jason is the best. But this is also why we love him. Oh, it's fine. It's okay. I wanted to stand.
I love that Jason and I took that as an opportunity to undress. We're like, we'll take our clothes off.
So my favorite moment on Matlock, it starts with the pilot, definitely. I would say,
I bet this didn't happen at Severance.
let's see.
Cue the marching
Fan
band.
favorite.
Now, your husband is going to think we're getting too handsy.
He already knows we get handsy. Can you hear? Is this still connected?
Yep.
Okay.
You're doing great.
Thank you. Thank you, Kat.
I am so sorry, Skye.
Oh, it's fine. That was fun for everyone
Exactly
involved.
how she planned it.
Thank you for that. Thank you for your service. No, we are unhinged on set. We're just dressed up right now.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But this is what I love so much about Jason. The unexpected. He will blindside you in a way that brings you right back to your childhood.
Yep.
You know, I do love you for that. And I said that for his birthday post. I was just like, you always summon my inner child out. Anytime I try to adult, you just remind me that, like, children only. Like, this is what we do for a living. We rely on our imagination and play. So when the water comes out, I do the church dance. Because I need God to keep me from, you know what I mean? But I would, okay, so like when I watch, TV shows or movies, and I see a character, especially in the first episode, I'm like, I bet that's her audition scene. And my audition scene in the pilot, the scene where I'm like, maybe you shouldn't have come back to work. That was so scary for me to do at the audition. And we were so locked in at the audition, but it's very different when you now have to shoot it. And I'm like, I'm about to go on camera with the audition scene in the pilot. And just like Leah said, and David, that like sometimes I can't look at her because she does. She sees you. And she's one of those people, I know she sees me. When I look at Kathy, I know she sees my story. Like, it's an ability that you have.
Well, we share that.
Yeah, but you really have it. I know I have it. Do you know you have it?
Well, you've convinced me.
Yeah, you do.
Kathy, you're going to go so far.
David, that's so encouraging at my age. I really appreciate it.
Stick with me, kid.
Oh my God.
Okay, all right. Finish your moment. Finish it, because I have something to add about child.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh,
Okay.
no, but that was my favorite moment, was delivering my audition scene, and then at the end, we went like this, and like when Kathy went like that to me, it was just like, I knew I was ready for the rest of the season. Like, I knew that we did it.
We did it, yeah.
Pull that off.
I always talk about that moment. I always talk about that moment. But I have to add something about being a child. I remember we have read-throughs at the beginning of every episode. So we go around and we have this nice room and everybody's there. And I don't know what episode it was, but your son was there.
Yes.
Okay, so this one's down at the other end, and she's always reading the stage directions. And her son was there, and her husband there, and her son sitting next to her. And Maddie has the last line in the episode. And I was just about to say it, and all of a sudden she blurts it out. And everybody just went crazy. And her son was banging on her like this, saying, Mom, Mom,
How could you do that?
And everybody was banging on the table and having such a great time. And that's when I felt everything came together. Yep. We were all there together. You know, it was such a great moment. And it is play. We love to play. And we're so lucky to have this, this wonderful experience. I've just never, you're not supposed to say I never, but I never did. I never had this in this way with everyone, and from David and Amy, who's here, and George Cheeks, and I mean, Eric, you're the man.
You're the man.
You are the man.
I'll be real fast. Am I supposed to answer the question too?
Yes, we got plenty of time. They canceled the next one, I think. We're good for another hour. Yeah? Yeah. I'll rent it out.
I remember being on the pilot, and I was kind of tucked in a corner somewhere, and I saw Kathy approach somebody on the set, as she always does, and say, "Hi, I'm Kathy, what's your name?" And the person said, "Oh, I'm just a stand-in." And she said, "What? There's no such thing as just a stand-in. What's your name?" And the person said their name, and you watch them just feel like they belonged there and like their job was important, which a stand-in is an incredibly important job. We cannot do our job without the stand-ins. And I think that precedent was set so that there is nobody here who feels like they're the most important person. And we can't do our job without every single person, you know, from the top all the way, I won't say the bottom, there is no bottom, all the way through the crew. It's such a collaborative art form. And sometimes people forget that. And on this set, it is never forgotten. And that comes from the top.
Well, from all of us too. I mean, I feel that every single person is a filmmaker and brings their artistry to what we do. And I think the joy that we collectively feel and experience shows up on the screen. And I think that gets communicated to the audience. And I feel that's one of the reasons why people love to watch the show.
I knew you were thinking about it.
I mean, there's been just so many special moments. Obviously, when Kathy said yes, that was a life-changing moment for me. And, you know, I think when I think about the moments, like I think about each one of, I have like stacks of performances and moments where I could list them all now, where I just know all the greatness that each one of them has, and all these moments. I love watching all of the takes. I love seeing every way, all of the interesting places that they take their characters, and all the little choices that they make, and how precise they are. And I just like sitting in the editing room and seeing all the different ways that the show could go is really my favorite. Like when you just get everything at the end and you see all the work that everyone did. And I love that. I love the coming together of all the collaboration, you know, from the writing staff through post. I just think it's magic.
And another person who's not up on stage, Gina Lamar, in our post is so amazing. You guys are such amazing.
Gina.
The editing is so great. It's amazing.
We're picked up for a second season, if you guys have heard. Without any explanation, as we go through our fantasy casting for season 2 of who we would like to work with, because there's some great possibilities, you can name one person that you would love to see join us on the show. And let's...
Melanie Linsky.
Jason only has one answer.
Eric.
I want to see Cindy Shapiro played by Dolly Parton.
Yes! Oh my God! Put it into the Twitter.
I would like to go toe-to-toe in court as a defense attorney against my husband, Edwin Hawes.
Yes! We can drop that contract right now, can't we? We have some ink and pencil. I said we can drop that contract right now. He's here.
Done. He can represent Melanie.
Yes, exactly. That would be amazing.
Leah, or you can, Jason. You can answer if you don't. If your wife is
that was
watching.
mine. That's
okay,
mine.
good.
If I only
That
get
was the
one,
right
that's
answer.
mine.
I think mine, y'all stole mine. I really want to work with Eric Christian Olsen. That guy's really good, you think?
Yeah.
That's 2 votes here.
I shouldn't ask the question.
Daniel Day-Lewis is retired, right? So I don't know. I mean, we didn't meet. We haven't explored Billy's father, so I thought about like who could play my father, and I get Mark Anthony a lot. I'd like to see him in screen and go toe to toe.
Yeah, let's do it.
That was his audition. That was his audition scene right there.
I met him when he was married to J-Lo.
Yeah.
I know what's going on. He's a nice guy.
Yeah, that's.
He's a very nice guy. Call him.
I just got the wrap-up poster from offstage, but it should be said, like, this show is a success because of all of you. You've shown up, you've supported, you've told your family, you've told your friends, you've used your DVRs, you've gone on to Paramount Plus. Am I plugging all the things that are necessary? But it's a success because of you guys. So thank you so much for the support. Thank you for coming today.
Thank you.
This cast.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
We're so excited for you guys to see the final 3 episodes. Again, don't tell anybody about what you saw today.
Yep, keep it Matlock.
Keep it Matlock.
Keep it Matlock.
But thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Great job.
Good.
Thank you.